Hey guys, what's up? This is MrBoy16, and this is my review of my Energizer Crank Radio flashlight, modified with a solar panel, or amorphous solar panel. So, yeah, so let's get started. The reason I did this mod for this is because what I've been noticing is sometimes when you whenever you crank these things, they're really loud, and they bother people when you're sitting by them and stuff like that, because it's kind of a nuisance to crank them, because they make this really sort of like a buzzy noise whenever you crank them. And when they get older and stuff, they become louder when it comes to cranking, and it's just really a huge pain in the butt to have to deal with. So what this is this is the Energizer Radio crank light, and it has a radio on it, and then it has the crank down here. But the problem with mine is it has become very loud when it comes to cranking it, and it's becoming just a big nuisance to me to have to crank it. I'm not downstepping Energizer at all. They did a really decent job with this flashlight. I really like it. But the problem with it is it's just been, I do camping, I do a lot of camping, because I'm in Boy Scouts or whatever, so I do a lot of camping, and this one's my primary flashlight that I take with me. So, what I wanted to do was I wanted to make it so I could easily crank it, and I wouldn't be annoying anybody. I mean, not crank it, silly me. I wanted to make it so it's easily chargeable without having to annoy my friends, and without having to just have to sit there and just crank this thing. I mean, that's kind of not really. If you're in Boy Scouts, or if you do a lot of camping, you know that a lot of times you just don't really have the time to sit there and crank these. So what I did is I opened the casing up here, and the two down here. I opened up the screw. I unscrewed the screws, and then I popped open the casing. And I actually removed the crank motor, or the crank generator in there, because one, that added like about 50 to 100 grams of weight on this, which wasn't too much, but it feels a lot better without it. And I added these little wires that go into the motor. They connect to the motors for this thing's. They connect to the motor's connecting rods, or they connect to the diodes that the motor went to, so that this can be powered using the solar panel. So what it does is it charges off of solar, and then it goes into here, into those diodes. And the cool thing is that this has the blocking diodes inside the flashlight, so you don't have to, whenever you rig up a panel to it or whatever, you don't have to worry about adding too much power to it. I mean, adding too much power to it and then leaving the solar panel in the dark, and then it draining the batteries, because this has the blocking diode already built in. And then another thing this has is it has a regulator in there. So the battery in here is a 6-volt coin cell rechargeable battery. I don't know if it's made of lithium or whatever, or if it uses lithium, but it has 3 coin cell batteries in there, making up 6 volts, and they're rechargeable. So, but the thing is this has a regulator built in, so you can probably add. This is a 6-volt solar panel that I get about probably 7.2 volts off of at max brightness. So it gives me it gives me about 1.5 volts over what this thing needs. So this has the regulator inside of it that allows it to be able to be use this. And this thing, it cranks a lot. Whenever this thing's in full sunlight, I can run the radio on this thing full blast, and then use the 4 LEDs on it, and without even without the batteries, this thing will crank full power just running off the solar panel. So this is really a nice solar panel for this light. And this is an amorphous panel, and I actually got this from My mom, she got this from the, from I think it was REI or Academy or Target. I don't know which one, but she got it from there. And what it does, and it was a part of a like little Christmas light thing. You would leave this in the sun, and it would have like a little battery and this little stand that this thing went in, and it would charge using the panel, and then it would charge that little battery, and it would run the little LEDs at night, and it would be just like a little Christmas light. So, but it ended up breaking, and she didn't really use it, so, or whatever. We didn't really use it on the campouts or anything because it's just a pain to have to use. So what I did was I took off the panel, and I cut the wires from the little regulator that the panel had, and then I used this little quick disconnect I got off a Razer E100, and it just and it can come off from this wire from the flashlight, and you just push on this little pin there, and this will pop right out, and it'll and I can wrap the wire around the crank handle on this, and then it's not a big nuisance. So, but it has so you just have to push on here, and then just pull out the little piece here. It's a bit of a pain because this one's a really this is old, this little connector, so it doesn't work really well. But I'll see if I can try to show you guys that it can do it. So you just push on it and then pull it out. So, and then this makes it so you don't have to lug the panel around, even though the panel's very light. It's lighter than the flashlight, and it's really thin. So, but you know, really, it doesn't really matter to me because you can use I would probably just lug it around with the panel on it anyway, because I really don't want to have to keep taking this thing. I don't really want to take this thing off, because the cool thing with this is this has the regulator inside of it, and it has the blocking diode, so I can just leave this on and just leave it in the sun, leave it on a picnic bench or my camping chair, and just leave it there and let it charge. So this really doesn't have to come off, and besides, it's not really a big inconvenience for me to lug this thing around, because this thing's pretty nice and ergonomic. And it's not even, the panel's rather small. It's only about a half of this thing bigger. Like if you cut this thing in half, it's only about 1.5 times as big as this. So it's not that big. So but I've done testing with this, and but actually no, I haven't been able to do real testing with it. But I've charged this for 8 hours now in the sun, and this flashlight is completely charged. And it was from dead, guys. It wouldn't even turn on. So whenever I first plugged this in, this thing wouldn't even turn on because it was so low on battery. And you see, I don't know if you can see it, but it's pretty bright. It's this is the brightest it's been in a really long time, and it can go pretty well, and the radio can work, and it has the alarm, so I'll see if I can get on the alarm. Pretty loud. So it works pretty well. And I'm going to leave this out in the sun again so I can get even more of a charge on this, because this does charge the battery a little bit slower than what a crank would, but it's not as big as it's not a pain in the butt, and it's a lot way more user friendly, and it's just better. But I'm going to leave it out again and see if I can get a full charge on this. I don't know if it has full charge yet, but I'm going to see if I can get a full charge on this, and I'm going to be using this to go to the National Jamboree this year, which is coming up in like 2 days for me. So I'm charging this thing and going to be using it for the National Jamboree as my regular flashlight, and I wanted to be able to use the solar panel because it's going to be bright where we're going. So yeah, anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed. Please don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, and I will see you guys later. Stay cool, YouTube. Bye.